Hello everyone and welcome back to D&D's Guide to Everything. Today we have another character build for you. This is a how-to beginner's guide on how to create your first wizard. We are actually going to be using some fun stuff today. We're going to be using some Unearthed Arcana playtest material to help build this character, and it's going to be a fun one. I've had a few ideas already, so let's jump into D&D Beyond. And if you enjoy this series, please don't forget to like and comment with what you'd like me to do next. As I said, today we've got Wizard, but anything you like, if it's multi-classing you want a guide on, do just let me know in the comments. I really appreciate all the support. So today we're going to create a character. So we're going to click create a character. We're going to go for a standard build. Feel free to hit the help text button if you need it. I'm going to go with optional class features and customize your origin because I'm not sure actually what this particular race that I'm going for needs. However, we're going to randomize the name. Let's see what we get. Not a fan of these so far. Oh no, that was it. Donnie. Perfect. Donnie. I love it. So this is Donnie. And what I thought we'd do today is, caveat, got confused there, we do need to tick playtest content on to be able to pick the race that I'm going for. So this is Donnie, and the race we've got is Owlfolk, which is in playtesting at the moment, but this is going to be added later on in the year in October, I think, when they release the Strixhaven Curriculum of Chaos book. There's going to be a new race called Owlen, which are variants of, I think for all intents and purposes in D&D, variants of Aarakocra. They are owl folk, smaller in stature it seems, and I'm sure by this point in the video I'll have displayed some artwork so you'll know kind of roughly what they look like. And they're actually from the Magic the Gathering universe, which is really fun. So we're not going to mess with Origin Manager too much, but Donnie is going to have a +1 to 3 of his scores. We're going to go for Dexterity, in primary would be Intelligence always for a wizard. We're going to go for Constitution and Dexterity. That's nice and well rounded, 3 pluses across the board, good stuff. For a language, I thought we'd go for Draconic, and then that way, because that is historically, I guess, in D&D the language of spells. There's a lot of Draconic and Ancient Draconic. That's like the root origin of spellcasting and things like that, so that's good. Size, we're going to go small. I think he would be a little small, like a white barn owl kind of vibe. We do get dark vision as an Owlfolk or Owlen. We also get dark vision out to 90 feet as an Owlen. We can see in dim light within 90 feet of you as if it were bright light, and darkness as if it were dim light. You can discern colours in darkness that are only as shades of grey. So normal dark vision with a bit of a buff. 90 feet is pretty damn good. We also get magic sight. This allows us to actually cast detect magic at will. And I think this is probably something to do with the fact that these guys are meant to be studying in this, the Curriculum of Chaos, that book that's coming out. It's almost like a school curriculum that you go through. I'm excited to see what that kind of looks like in a book, in a universe, how they apply it to D&D and things like that. But it should be really fun. But we can cast Detect Magic as a ritual, and we pick our modifier because we're a wizard. Definitely Intelligence. We get Nimble Flight, which means if we're falling, we can try to push our wings out, and that way we can make a Dexterity saving throw to stop us from falling and taking damage. We also get Silent Feathers, means we have proficiency in the Stealth skill out the gate, which is really, really good. Okay, now we look to pick the class. We're going to go with a Wizard, and we're going to add that in, and we're actually going to start at level 2 for this one, because that's where you pick your school as a wizard. So for hit points, the wizard gets a 1d6, which is the lowest possible, so you're quite squishy. So it's 6 plus your constitution modifier. We're going to always take the median just because it's easier, and you level up and you get more health as you go. For our proficiencies at first level, armor we get no proficiencies. Weapons, daggers, darts, slings, quarterstaffs, and light crossbows. So we do have some weapons in there, but pretty awful, to be honest. Our saving throws are in Intelligence and Wisdom, and for our proficiencies we're going to go with Arcana and Investigation. I feel like if we are quite young and we're studying in a school, which is kind of the vibe I'm going for here, or maybe just graduated, we'll be good at finding what we need to in textbooks, and we have a penchant for Arcana and spotting magical effects. So spellcasting for a wizard is quite unique. The things you need to know are that you use Intelligence as your spellcasting modifier, whereas sorcerers use like Charisma and warlocks use Charisma, druids use Wisdom, and clerics use Wisdom. As a wizard, you use Intelligence, and that should always be your highest stat, or it should be your priority at least, even if it's not your highest from the start. As far as cantrips go, at first level we know 3 cantrips of your choice from the wizard spell list. You learn additional wizard cantrips at higher levels, and that is displayed in the wizard spell table. You have a spell book, which is where you draw your power from. At first level, you have a spell book containing 6 first level wizard spells of your choice. Your spellbook is the repository of wizard spells you know, except your cantrips, which are fixed in your mind. The cantrips are not in your spellbook, but the spellbook is where all of your other spells are kept. So the number of them you don't have to worry about right now, because D&D Beyond will sort that for you. But for example, if you're a 3rd level wizard, you would have 4 first level and 2 second level spell slots available to you. And with an intelligence of 16, our list of prepared spells can include 6 spells of 1st or 2nd level from any combination chosen from our spellbook. When you level up as a wizard, you can add a limited amount of spells to your spellbook for free. But the great thing about a wizard is they can technically learn any spell that they can find on a spell scroll or recorded version of it. And they, with money invested and time invested, can copy those details into their spellbook, therefore giving you access to more spells than you would usually be allowed to have as a spellcaster. And this is the bread and butter of a wizard and why they're so fantastic. If you can find the original record or buy a scroll, over time you can copy it into your spellbook and have it permanently. Very, very powerful and very effective. As outlined here, as I just mentioned, learning spells of 1st level and higher, each time you gain a wizard level, you can add 2 wizard spells of your choice into your spellbook for free. Each of these spells must be of a level which have spell slots. So this is it, when you level up you do get some for free. You don't have to record everything from an outside source, your character would have an idea of what they wanted to do with their spellbook over time, and you get a natural progression, so you're not short on the spells. However, this section here, your spellbook, and if you are thinking about playing a wizard, I would recommend reading all of this in detail just to make sure you know exactly how it works. When you find a wizard spell of 1st level or higher, you can add it to your spellbook if it is of a spell level you can prepare, and if you can spare the time to decipher and copy it. For each level the spell takes, it takes 2 hours and 50 gold pieces. Therefore, a 2nd level spell would take 4 hours and 100 gold pieces to copy into your spellbook. And that is just, you can just flavour that as just the materials, just inks and nice paper to be able to add into your spellbook. Or you can say literally you need to melt down gold to do a ritual to ingrain it in your mind. However you want to do it, the flavour is yours, but you have to spend that money and spend the time to be able to do it as well. I hope that makes sense. So moving on, we go to Arcane Recovery. You've learned to regain some of your magical energy by studying your spellbook. Once per day when you finish a short rest, you can choose expended spell slots to recover. The spell slots can have a combined level that is equal to or less than half of your wizard level rounded up, and none of those slots can be of 6th level or higher. For example, if you're a 4th level wizard, you can recover up to 2 levels worth of spell slots. That's fantastic because most full spellcaster classes can only recover on a long rest. As a wizard, this gives you the ability to be able to do it once per day, to be able to just recover a little bit in between fights, just so you don't have to be scared about using your spells. So for an arcane tradition, because we are on my Nathrandir's guide account, we have one available, and this is what will be available to you if you're brand new to D&D Beyond, the School of Evocation. Now Evocation, you're a blaster caster, basically. You'll be throwing fireballs, slinging fire, ice, lightning spells. Most of the things you'll be doing will be damaging spells. That is the idea of an Evocation wizard. It's not that that's the only thing they can do. As I said, you can learn any wizard spell in the game. Just remember that. You can always change your build a little bit, but primarily this is your school of study. This is what you're focusing on, so Evocation spells will benefit you the most. At 2nd level, we get Evocation Savant. Beginning when you select this school at 2nd level, the golden time you spend to copy an Evocation spell into your spellbook is halved. Fantastic. If we find any more explosive spells out in the world, we can put them into our spellbook, and it will take less time and less gold to do so. The real fantastic ability here though is Sculpt spells. At 2nd level, you can create pockets of relative safety within the effects of your Evocation spells. When you cast a spell that affects other creatures that you can see, you can choose a number of them equal to 1 plus the spell's level. Those chosen creatures automatically succeed on their saving throw, and they take no damage if they would usually take half. So for example, you don't now have to worry about throwing a fireball into the middle of a fight and burning your fighter to a crisp who's right on the front line. You can sculpt the spell around them, and only evocation wizards get this, so it makes them very, very effective at AoE and damaging spells. Going into our ability scores, I thought we'd do another rolled session just to see what we get, because I just prefer rolling. I think it's a little bit more fun. It creates a good disparity between stronger stats and weaker ones, and I think that's always a little bit more fun. So let's roll. Cool, so I'm really happy with that. That's a good spread. So easily we want that 17 into intelligence. And then our next focuses should be Constitution and Dexterity. Dexterity because it helps your armor class, and Constitution because you have no health. So you're always going to want to try and buff that if you can. I think as a small little owl creature, I think definitely our strength should be our lowest statistic. So for 14, I think we go with the Dexterity, and we'll go for a 13 into Constitution, a 13 into Wisdom, and then 11 into Charisma to round it out. And I like this spread because the wisdom as well being a little high just means we are studied, we are smart. It's not just book smarts as well. We have a little bit of kind of world experience. I think it's quite fun. Awesome, so now that's done, we're going to move on to our description. So for Donnie, I reckon he is a sage, without a doubt. He spent years learning the lore of the multiverse. We have scoured manuscripts, studied scrolls, listed the greatest experts on the subjects that interest you. In this case, an evocation wizard. Your efforts have made you a master in your fields of study, so we're very good at it already. And for our next proficiency, because we do have history already there, we're going to go for, I think as an owlin with our large eyes and night vision, I think perception would probably be a fair one to take. So we'll take perception in this case, and I think we'll just go with just common languages that would be in the world. So Dwarvish and Elvish are usually staples. That would help us to communicate with more people, make friends, perhaps read different scripts on spells. So there's a lot of flavour you can assign to this, but good fun just there. So let's do some characteristics, which we haven't done in a while on the channel. This is exciting. So we'll randomise 2 of those. We got 8 and 4. So I'm convinced that people are always trying to steal my secrets. Interesting. So now, being an owl, and this is when we have our head on a swivel all the time, making sure nobody's copying our notes or copying our spells. That's fun. And number 4, there's nothing I like more than a good mystery. I think that's true about me, to be honest. That could be really, really fun. So perhaps we found that we really like solving mysteries, solving puzzles, things like that, and which is why our intelligence is our highest. We have this penchant for trying to work things out. We're quite analytical with our big owl eyes. That's good fun. Let's roll an ideal. We got 5. Oh gosh. Power. Knowledge is the path to power and domination. So that's definitely evil aligned, but it could be quite fun just to think that we always go for power over everything else. Sometimes perhaps that gets the better of us. When we're trying to overpower a creature, we won't think logically about it. We'll just try and pummel them with spells until they die. Something along those lines. That could be quite fun. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be like evil. You just start murdering people. It's just that's slightly evil aligned. Could be a flaw of your character almost. Roll another one for bonds. We got 2. I have an ancient text that holds terrible secrets that must not fall into the wrong hands. Perhaps this is why we left our school. We ended our studies early, but managed to just about, I guess, graduate or have the right information. Or maybe we were meant to leave the school at a higher level, like a level 3 wizard, but we never got that chance. We had to do it ourselves because maybe we found an ancient text or stumbled across an ancient text, or we found there was some corruption in the school, something along those lines. Loads of potential for crafting a backstory from that. And finally, a flaw. Most people scream and run when they see a demon. I stop and take notes on its anatomy. That is kind of unbalanced to using power to kind of override everything, but perhaps one of our missions is to be able to control demons and things like that, or we're scanning its body for weak points so that when we cast a fireball, we really nail it and destroy it into smithereens. Now that does work. It works. I like that. All good. So let's minimize that. So let's go to equipment. We'll choose our equipment, and I don't see this as quarterstaff just because of the size that we are. I think a dagger's more appropriate, and I think an arcane focus as well. I don't feel like we would be one to keep all like ingredients on us and stuff. I think I'd prefer an arcane focus for this particular wizard. A component pouch is really, really fun though. Yeah, there's a lot of flavour, and if you've watched Critical Role, and if you want to know how to play a wizard,
Caleb Widogast in Critical Role, played by Liam O'Brien, is a fantastic example of how to roleplay a wizard wonderfully well. He spends a lot of time just combing places for books as opposed to normal treasures, and when he describes how he casts his spells, he always uses the components that add flavour to them. I think in this case I like the idea of like a crystal that we look into and we draw power from, kind of leaning into this owl folk. Again, I don't really know what they're like too much, I don't know much of the lore behind them, but I just got this image of just these two big eyes staring into a crystal to draw an arcane power from it. I really like that, so we're going to go with that. And definitely a scholar's pack, because we would have come from a school of some kind. We'll add that starting equipment. We get a few other things that just kind of sum up our character. We also get a letter from a dead colleague posing a question we haven't been able to answer yet. Perhaps that's something to do with that ancient text that we've got as well. We will see, we will see. Let's head into the character sheet and see what this looks like. Okay, so as you can see, our stats are pretty abysmal. 12 armor class, 14 HP at level 2. 14 HP isn't actually too bad because of our constitution modifier, but our intelligence is 18 out the gate, which is fantastic. Dexterity 15, 14 constitution, which are our primary ability scores. We also have a dagger equipped, which looks like we could do some damage with. And something to note, if you can convince your dungeon master, a really good thing to start with as a wizard, which I feel like isn't too much of a stretch, you could actually go for a light crossbow, because actually early on this may do more damage than some of your spells, so I recommend picking up a light crossbow if possible in your game. It will quickly be outdone as you level up, but very useful early on for doing a bit of damage, especially if you've got a decent dexterity score like we do. 1d8, it's not too bad, it's really not too bad. Let's pick some spells. As you can see, we've got Detect Magic, which we can cast as a ritual out the gate, and we can cast it normally if we choose to with our Magic Sight feature. But we're going to go to Manage Spells. We're going to go to Add Spells, and what you'll see is this adds these spells to our spell book, and then we have to prepare them from there. So let me show you. So at this level, we can learn. We have 0 out of 3 cantrips prepared. We can learn 3 cantrips, and we're going to lean into the evocation score, so I'm not going to think too much about these utility-wise. We're going to go for that power, that floor that we rolled in the description earlier. So I think Firebolt, without a doubt, nice evocation cantrip there. I think we could probably go for Frostbite as well. That means we've got fire and ice straight out the gate, and then let's go for something a little bit utility, just so we have something we can use outside of that. Oh, Shape Water though. Yeah, I really like the idea of Shape Water, of pulling it up and chucking it at someone. And this is only a cantrip, so I don't think Shape Water can do that, but it's the start of hinting that we'll be like a fire, ice, water, proper elemental adept wizard. So we'll go for that. Those cantrips are always available to us, always, 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 as a wizard. So first levels, now these are the ones that we're going to add to our spellbook, and we can have 6, which is a huge amount of option. So let's see what we've got. Magic Missile, easy choice out the gate, and remember, evocation wizards, so a lot of things elemental based. I think for something protective, shield will be fantastic, because we're going to need that to block the fireballs coming in at us. And I think absorb elements, because of our attunement to elements, this could be really fun as well. If we happen to take some elemental damage, we can absorb it and maybe lash it backwards with our next spells. So all evocation from here on out. No more safety here. I think Ice Knife, absolutely, that's an upgrade of our Frostbite ability. Let's go for Thunderwave to lead into that like sound displacement, and Thunderwave's really fun where you can make a cube of like exploding sound basically. Shield gives us a little bit more AC on a reaction. Magic Missile doesn't miss. It's just arcane bolts essentially that do not miss. Ice Knife, we throw an ice knife. Absorb elements, we can absorb some elements. And sometimes I forget that this is a beginner's video, so I feel I need to explain myself a couple of times just in case. I hope that's coming through. And I think finally I want to go for something else utility, but that's not what this character is. What does Colour Spray do? Illusion, no, we don't want that. We've already got Detect Magic, otherwise I'd probably pick up that, to be honest. What about Earth Tremor? Yeah, evocation spell. So we break the earth with, perhaps we dig our talons in, and the energy that comes out from it as a wizard, our eyes flash and we break the ground apart and things fall over and take damage. That sounds fun. Cool. So there,
we now have 6 spells in our spell, but you can see our prepared spells hasn't changed. Why is that, you ask, Nathan? Well, now we go to our spell book, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 available to us in our spell book for free. We don't have to do anything else with those. So now we hit prepare, 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 prepare. And that is 6 of 6 known. Those are the ones that came for free with us in our spell book. And that's how it works. So then if, let's say we were to find a spell scroll out in the world and we had the money to write it down, say it's a first level spell, let's say it's floating disc, sure. We'd spend the money, spend the time, we'd hit learn on floating disc. That doesn't mean, you can see it says 7 known here, that doesn't mean we can prepare it, because we already have 6 prepared, so we'd actually have to unprepare Ice Knife to prepare floating disc in the future. But it just means you have endless wizard spell options. I've played a couple of wizards and they're so much fun. Probably my favourite class. I would highly recommend it. And they can be tough to play because you die really easily, but as long as you've got a good party protecting you, you should be fine. Yes, that is it for this episode of How to Make a Wizard. This is Donnie the Owlin, and we'll be picking him up and kind of expanding on this class in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please leave a like and a comment if you did on what you want me to cover next, and please subscribe if you can spare the subscription. We're still at around like 80% odd not subscribed people watching my video, so I'd love it if you did and help out a small channel like myself. That's it. I'll stop begging now. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Nathra and Deer's Guide to Everything, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.